Beer review. Strange brew I found tonight while I was in Auburn, New York, paying my bills. I swung by D&L Truck Stop and to see what they've got new, and found this Nosferatu Double Red IPA. Nosferatu Double Red IPA by Great Lakes Brewing Company. I've never had it, and that's because it just came out. It's a new release. August 2024, which it still is August of 2024 at the time of this video. And Great Lakes Brewing, they've got my favorite beer actually. Currently, Edmunds Fitzgerald Porter, my favorite beer. And they make that. And Great Lake Brewing is out of Cleveland, Ohio. Been around since 1988. Two brothers, Daniel and Patrick Conway. And yeah, they're pretty proud of their Irish heritage. They've got a couple of Irish brews out. I think I reviewed one of them anyway, Irish Red Ale. I guess their father was an Irish cop, and you know, old time. They've got an image of him on their beer, and I guess he liked his beer when he was off duty. Imagine that. So they came out with this Nosferatu Double Red IPA, and I looked it up. Nosferatu is fictional, like Dracula. It was a movie, 1922, and it resurfaced on SpongeBob SquarePants. It's a fictional Dracula character, and so red IPA, you know, Dracula, blood, and all that Halloweenish stuff. Have you ever read Bram Stoker's Dracula? Like the book right out of like 1840s when I think it was written. And it's pretty creepy. I'll tell you what, it's as dated as the wording is and verbiage. It's a very creepy book to read. It definitely will give you chills. More than any of the movies I've ever seen. Just Bram Stoker's novel is indeed creepy. Very creepy. Pretty good. I don't think I've ever seen a movie do it justice. I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm not a big fan on the genre, not at all. But I have read Bram Stoker's Dracula. And I've got a Dracula story, a vampire story out of Whitby, England, where Bram Stoker actually put Dracula in his novel. I didn't know that at the time of my odd experience. It ranks right up there with my black dog and cat visitors in Dinan, France, at my doorstep. That somehow got into my place. If you're curious about that, look it up. The Black Dog and Cat, Dinan, France, happened about 5 months ago at this point. Yeah, that ranks right up there with that. Really odd. I can't explain that experience at all. All right, so on to the beer. Nosferatu. Now, here's what I'm looking at. This is their webpage. And so you know what I'm reading. And there's the beer can. And this creepy, ghoulish looking, looks like somebody I knew minus the ears, honestly. Mark Rogo. I'm pretty sure he's not watching this. It's at 8% alcohol by volume, and that's a pretty heavy hitter. 70 IBUs, that's pretty bitter, but I would expect that much for an IPA and one with that much alcohol in it. Simcoe and Cascades, two good hops that I personally like. Two-row base. For any ale, it's going to have a two-row base. The Crystal 77 is the same barley, two-row barley base. Then they take that and they roast it to make it a different color. Kind of the same way they toast coffee beans. And you grind that up and it gives it the dark red color and also a lot for the flavor. And special roast malt, I don't know what that is. So now playing, sink your teeth into a rich, roasty red double IPA with a frightfully delectable hop bite. Release August. Okay, image off. Get into this. I'll let you know what I think. Now, I am a fan of IPAs. Some I don't like at all, though. IPAs vary greatly. I'm a fan of Great Lakes Brewing at this point because they've got a couple beers that I don't care for, honestly. They're okay beers. I won't say which ones. They're okay beers. But my favorite beer comes from them, and that would be, like I said before, Edmund Fitzgerald Porter. And here's this one. I'm really kind of looking forward to checking this out. All right. Now, I did check this. I hate to say it, I will not buy any beer with fruit put in it. Grapefruit, mangoes, blueberries. I won't buy it. If it's got grains in it, okay. But there are no fruits in this. As you can see, it's just barley malt. That's it. The crystal is a barley malt, and the special roast is a barley malt. And of course, the two-row base is two-row barley. And really straightforward. Simcoe and Cascades are two very standard hops, so it's a pretty straightforward recipe. Kind of like, you know, just following the basics, but doing it right. You know, really. And hopefully I'll let you know if they did it right, in my opinion. So, smell. It definitely has some aroma going on. Which isn't to say a lot of beers that I've reviewed don't, because sometimes my sinuses are, you know, allergies. It smells like IPA, kind of citrusy, a little bready. I can smell the yeast. Yeah, it smells like an IPA. It definitely has, you can smell the hops in it. So let's check out, see what it looks like. Poured into this mug. Ooh, it is indeed a red beer. Wow. I wonder how they achieved that with this, just the special roast, I guess. And the Crystal 77 is a pretty dark crystal malt. Whatever their special roast was, they definitely got a red beer, huh? Wow, check that out, huh? Woo. That has got to be the reddest beer I've ever seen. That's not to say that the head on it is tan and very, very fine. Very, very fine, tiny, tiny little bubbles. Really fine. Almost Guinness Stout fine. So far, so good. That doesn't mean I'm going to like the way this beer tastes or goes down. Looks good. All right. Here we go, folks. Down the gullet. Ooh. It's sweet up front. It's got quite a hops kick. Quite bitter in the back of the tongue. Quite bitter. Medium mouth body feel. Got a little bit of alcohol bite to it. Not much. I'm definitely tasting the hops still in the back of my tongue and throat. It's definitely got the bitterness taste receptors on the back of the tongue fully activated. Not in an unpleasant way, I will say. But mine are pretty old. If you're younger than me, maybe yours are a little more lively than mine. So that's just to this face, this skull. That's really good. Honestly, that is very good. Outstanding. It's fairly cold too. Been in my freezer. Yeah, the first impression when I drink this is I get the sweetness of the malt, and almost instantly the hops kicks in. The Simcoe and Cascade kick in on this pretty strong. It really is a balance of sweet, kind of sugary sweet. I don't know, that's not right. I mean, that would be gross if it was sugary sweet, like soda pop with you get like a sweetness to it, but the bitterness from the hops takes over quick and hangs in there. It's moderately carbonated, but I've taken a couple of pretty good gulps. And when you got a beer, this is pretty cold. I could tell you, I think it could probably about 40 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm getting pretty good at that because I was checking the temperature on these for quite a while, then that thing broke. And my new food thermometer wouldn't really work well with this. That's not entirely true. You know what? That's not entirely true. I don't want to mislead you. I just thought about it. Yes, it would. Hold on, I'll be right back. I'll tell you how cold this beer is. I'll tell you how cold it is. And that plays into this a little bit on this, all right. So this beer is, I'm going to guess right now it's 42 degrees Fahrenheit. It's set up a bit. 50 and dropping. I was wrong. Holding at 50. All right, I think it was 42 when I opened it. That plays into it. The carbonation, I think honestly 50 is about the right temperature. 45 to 55. Depends personal taste, but that's a good temperature to serve an IPA. You definitely don't want to drink this beer warm, but go ahead if that's what you like. Yeah, it's got a fair amount of lacing, but as you know, the colder the beer is, the more it holds the CO2 into the beer. So when you drink it, it's going to fill you up a little more because you're going to have that CO2 is going to release. You're going to burp, hopefully. And the warmer the beer, the more it'll be foamier, but it'll, because the CO2 escapes the beer, the warmer it is. Just like with any carbonated drink, soda pop, leave it in your car, open up a can of that and see what happens in the summer. All that CO2 rushes out like champagne. This is a very good IPA. I would tell my vampire story, but that's a little bit beyond the scope of this. I don't believe in vampires. I went to, I'm going to tell it anyway, aren't I? I went to a town, it's kind of a rough town now. It was a rough town then, in the late 90s, but I was a younger man then. I really wasn't worried about trouble, honestly. Maybe a little naive. But Middlesbrough, and that's on the coast of northern England, just below Newcastle, just below the Scottish coast. And I knew nothing about Whitby. I never heard of it. And oh God, I'm going to tell this story. I went there and had a pretty good time. I met Met some women online and not on a dating site. I just met them in a chat room. And at that time of my life, I was traveling to Europe or Britain once a year, just on vacation, solo. And I had planned to go to England. And I met these women. There's this kind of a freaky story how I met them. Really didn't want to get into the scope of this whole story. I'll tell you what. I'll put a link to that story in the description here. Because, you know, there's a lot to it. And it's just kind of a weird occurrence that I had. Like the black dog and cat that showed up in my apartment in that medieval town in Brittany, France. I cannot explain to this day. And honestly, just those two events, the thing in England and the thing in you know, with the vampire, what it was, a bat, like a vampire bat. And then what happened later that day kind of comes together. It's pretty odd. And the thing in Brittany, France, with the black dog and cat that just, two locked doors, you know, this old building, medieval history, really old. I'm the only one in there on the third floor. And the doors were locked Sunday morning, and a black dog and cat were in my place, and the door was wide open. Like the door was opened up and it was locked. And there was absolutely nobody in the building. And everything was locked up tight. And it was my first night there. And it was also my first night in Middlesbrough when this happened. In the morning. Also a Sunday morning, waking up. Actually, it was Saturday morning when I was in Middlesbrough. But my first night there, and I woke up to this odd thing. And same with, so that's my vampire story. So that's the whole Nosferatu. You know, that's the beer, the blood red, double red IPA. So I got strange stories about everything. And I looked it up with the black dog and cat in Celtic folklore in Brittany, France. It was reported through the ages that a black dog and cat visiting your place in the morning was an omen. It could be, some said it was a good omen, some said it was a bad omen. That was 5 months ago, well, March. Yeah, 5 months ago. Almost 6. Strange things happen. I tell you, the bitterness, if you like a bitter IPA, this is one for you. And I would say bitter in a good way for an IPA. I've had IPAs that were bitter, just I couldn't drink them. Not because they were so bitter, it's just kind of a pukey bitterness, like for me. It was like drinking really strong, concentrated grapefruit juice. Imagine that. It was like having a mug full of concentrated grapefruit juice. And that's where a lot of new brewers go wrong. They don't balance things out. They go overboard. They use the wrong hops. They don't use them right. And they get their recipe wrong. And you wind up with a mug of concentrated grapefruit juice with some alcohol in it. And I'll pour it out. I just won't even drink it. Now, I've done a lot of beer reviews on beers that I don't like. And I didn't publish a lot of those. And some of them go back a few years. What do you all think? If you watched this far, what do you think of me releasing? They're still on my channel. They're just unlisted. Do you want to see beer reviews of beers that I didn't like or I thought were mediocre? A recent one I did was Modelo Negra. I thought that was an okay beer. okay, drinkable, but nothing special, and nothing that warranted what it cost, which wasn't a lot, but it should have been a cheap beer, really, instead of a middle of the road beer. Pretentious. This actually goes down pretty easy if you're me. Actually, no, this is my first drink of beer in a bit here, and something this bitter, if it wasn't done right, you would have seen my first reaction, but ooh. But no, it was not bad. And I will tell you, I'm not the only one to think that. Ratebeer.com, rate, like I'm rating the beer, R-A-T-E, ratebeer.com. They've got, you can look these beers up and you'll get hundreds, maybe thousands of people all over the world. Serious beer drinkers, whatever, all alcoholics, I don't know. Serious beer drinkers will tell you what they think of the beer. And this got, I don't know, like 800 or so reviews. And it came out as outstanding, really. People really think this is a good beer, and I have to agree with them. I look it up just to see it, because they give information on the beer. Sometimes that you don't find on their website. But usually I'll look it up also, like when I'm buying beer, because I'm not made out of money. And I'm sick of buying a 6-pack of beer that is just so awful, I'm not going to drink it. And so I'll look, oh, this beer is supposed to be good. I'll get this and I'll crack a beer and do a review on it tonight. And here it is. This was my fun thing to do today. This. Other than that, grocery shopping, and I built a bed for myself out of 4x4s. And I'm a big guy. Not big guy, but I mean, I'm about like 240 pounds, I bought this bed frame made in China. And I swear, I plopped down on that after work, a few months back, and the thing just folded up on me. Broke. So I wound up just sleeping on a mattress on the floor. That doesn't work. It doesn't look good either. The very rare occasion I get a guest, and I live downstairs. I have a house, a full old house. I live in a house that, I don't know how old this place is, honestly. Someone said 1930s, but someone said like 1840s. I think it's probably more like 1930s or 1900, but I've got a full house with a full 3 bedrooms and a full bathroom upstairs, just closed off. So I just use it downstairs. I get an occasional guest, and I got somebody somebody actually visited me like maybe 6 months ago, a person, and they saw the mattress on the floor, and it just didn't look good. It didn't look good. And so I said, I'm going to build my own. So I built a bed frame out of 4x4s and used dovetail joint, cut the dovetail joints that fit right in. Really solid, and I've done this before. And it came out really well, and it's solid. An elephant could sit on this thing, it wouldn't break. I sincerely mean it. I don't think, maybe an elephant would break it, but a horse or a cow could probably sit on this bed and it wouldn't break. So it's solid and it looks good. And today I just picked up, I'm refining it. I picked up a little more lumber to kind of make it, I want it to be nice. So that was my goal today, grocery shopping and getting that lumber and working on that and doing this beer review. Exciting. Well, I helped a few people out, or I tried to today, which I won't elaborate on that. But I try to help people out when I can, We're all struggling. We all are. Sometimes you're not. Sometimes life is just good. A lot of people have a lot of problems, deep ones. So, this beer, this is where I take a drink and have some fun with my editing software. This beer still has a little bit of foam left on it. And moderate lacing. Very good looking beer, I might say. A very good looking beer. Smells like an IPA. That is to say, smells citrusy. With a little bit of malt, bread flavor, or smell. You can imagine that. The taste on this is very good. It's got medium mouthfeel. It's very drinkable. But yet it's got a lot of very good IPA balanced flavor to it. So I really like this beer. Honestly, it's... God, it seems like brewers are just getting their act together more and more. I mean, the beer I reviewed before this was very good too. And this is another winner, honestly. If you like IPAs, you cannot go wrong with this beer. And I forgot to tell you, this beer costs just shy of $12. All right, it's $11.99. $11.99, just like the last one I bought there. That was 1 penny shy of $12. About $13 with deposit and tax. So it's pretty well. It's well priced. I'll tell you what. This is right. I gotta say that this may be my new favorite IPA.
Nosferatu's Vampire Beer. This is really great beer. If you like your IPAs, you are going to want to sink your fangs into a mug of this beer.